So let me walk you through a question, okay? So throughout this question, you should be able to get idea about how things work. Now, suppose we have a company, Warren Industries, and they recently, in 2020, paid out a dividend of $1.50 per share. And the company's manager expects these dividend will increase at a 10% annual rate. Let's denote that as G1 over the next 3 years. At the end of these 3 years, that means at the end of 2023, the company's mature product line is expected to result in a slowing of the dividend growth rate to 5% per year, denoting that as G2 for the foreseeable future. The firm's required rate of return R is 15%. The question is, what is the value of the stock? Okay. So to solve questions like this, I would always suggest people to draw a line, okay, draw a timeline, and to note any kind of information that you know on that line so that you know what kind of things that you are shooting for. So in this case, you have, you start from T0, which is year 2020, and go all the way down. And what you need to do is to simply calculate the present value of that sequence of cash flow down the road, right? Okay, now to do so, I would suggest that you separate this whole entire cash flow into 2 blocks, okay, by their growth rate. So one is green, one is blue. And what happens is that if you want to figure out what is the present value of this whole thing, you are essentially, you could essentially trying to figure out what is the present value of this green part, and then what is the present value of this blue part, and then you simply add them all together, okay? Because the sum of the present values of green part and the blue part becomes the present value of this entire cash flow that we are talking about. Okay, so far so good. All right, now it's cell phone time. I want you to answer a question, okay? Seems like very simple, but I still want you to answer it. So let's first tackle this green part, okay? The green part, the very first 3 years of cash flows. Now, the question I want to ask you is that, can we use constant dividend growth model to estimate this green part's value, present value, okay? Now, everybody respond to this question, okay? I think let me, yeah, just scan this QR code and answer the question, okay? Okay, I think most of you have responded. Let's take a look, okay? Okay, very good. The answer is no, okay? So for those of you who picked the no, don't change your answer, you are right. The answer is no, okay? So for those of you who picked the no, you were absolutely right. For those of you who picked the yes, listen carefully, okay? So this is exactly the reason why I want you to do this seemingly easy poll, but the answer simply is not that as easy as it seems. Now, never mind, let's take a look, okay? And let me explain why the answer is no. You cannot use constant dividend growth model to estimate things. The reason is because, now, write it down on your notes, especially if you got that question wrong. To make your constant dividend growth model work, you must have an assumption that the dividend will go on and on and on forever, okay? It cannot just be something like I give you 3 times of dividend and then stops. So this is exactly what the green is, okay? There are only 3 cash flows or 3 occurrences for the dividend, and then it stops. Because of this simple reason, you simply cannot use constant dividend growth model to estimate the present value of green. This is going to be wrong, okay? So technically, for the constant dividend growth model to work, you have 2 assumptions. Assumption 1 is the dividend will go on and on and on indefinitely. The second is the growth rate is constant, okay? All right, now we know the answer, and let's see how to do that, okay? Since we cannot use constant dividend growth model to estimate the value for this green part, we would have to calculate it manually 1 year after the other, okay? So 2020, we know it's 150, and since we know 2021 is 10% or more than that, so you multiply 2020's dividend by 1 plus 10%, you got a 165, and then for 2022, 10% or more than 2021, 182, and 2023, which is 10% or more than 2022, and that gives you $2. So these three numbers can be calculated manually. And then since we want to know what is the present value of green, you simply use your CF function in your financial calculator and to calculate what is this present value of this sequence of cash flow of three occurrences, okay? C01, it's 165, second, 182, third is 2, and calculate your net present value at a required rate of return of 15, and then compute your NPV, okay? And the answer is $4.12. So for those of you, if you forgot how to do that, I will post a video on Canvas, okay, showing you how to use financial calculator to calculate the mixed cash flow. I might have already uploaded. Let me double check. Okay. Anyway, it's going to be online. Okay. By the end of today. So that just in case you forgot. All right. Right. So now we are done with the green part. Okay. We know the green part, the present value of this green section is $4.12. Now let's move on. Now we need to tackle this blue part. Okay. Now again, the same question I want to ask you, but I just want you to type a yes or no in the chat box. Can we use constant dividend growth model to estimate the present value of blue? Yes or no? Please type in a chat box and let me know. Can we use constant dividend growth model for the blue part? Yes or no? Okay, I want to see more people interacting. Yes or no? Okay. Okay, very good. Now the majority of you got it correctly, okay? Previously, the majority of you got it wrong, but don't feel bad because the last section, 100% of the response was wrong. So don't feel too bad. Okay, now for the blue, the answer is yes, okay? Because one, the dividend growth rate is constant, is always 5%. Two, it will go on and on and on into forever. It will not stop, okay? So that's the reason why, yes, constant dividend growth model works here. But, okay, you need to be really careful as you use the model. Because one important thing about this model is that, now look at this model, right? This is the model. You are calculating P0, okay? And here is D1, which means when you are plugging numbers into the model, the price that you calculate is going to be the price of that sequence of cash flow or value of that sequence of cash flow 1 period before the first cash flow or 1 period before the first dividend. All right. So that's why as you are using constant dividend growth model to work with this blue part, you plug in the numbers and then you calculate it, but the result that you get at the first place is going to be the price of that blue part in 2023, which is 1 year before the first dividend would come out in 2024. And that's very important. However, our main goal or final destination is to work out the present value of that blue part. And present value means what is the value for that blue part in 2020. So therefore, to work this out, you really need to take a two-step approach. Step one, you calculate the price for 2023 as I spoke. And then the second step, you discount this 2023 number back to now. Now on the screen, this is how you calculate the price of 2023, which is 1 year before the first dividend would come out. So here, P 2023 is equal to D 2024, which is 1 period in the future, divided by R, which is required rate of return, minus G, which is the growth rate. Okay, so $2, that was the 2023 dividend, multiplied by 1 plus 5% growth rate, that becomes $2.10, being the dividend for 2024, and divided by 15 minus 5, R minus G, and that's 10%. You calculate it, that's $21. So now we have $21 in place, okay? In other words, we are actually replacing the entire blue part. We are replacing this with this one number, $21 in 2023. And then, since we are trying to figure out what is the present value of this blue part, we could essentially calculate what is the present value of this $21 in 2023, discounted back to now in 2020. All right. Now, how do you do that? Basically, that is just a regular time value of money operation. Since you are discounting one number in the future back to now, you treat that number as future value, 21. Number of periods is how many years apart? 3 years, because now it's 2020. That number is about 2023, 3 years. And interest rate, which is the required rate of return, 15%. Calculated, what is the PV? The answer is $13.81. Okay, $13.81. Now we got everything to put everything together, because finally we want to know what is the present value of this whole thing. And as I spoke a couple slides ago, you could calculate the present value of green, calculate the present value of blue, and then add them all together. And here we go. Let's add them all together. Green part, present value is $4.12. Blue part, $13.81. Adding all together, that's $17.93. Okay, $17.93.